Matakara Wingara, Narinain Michelle Bartunnet, Natabini Boandik Palapala, Yerpanain Berina Barnulanain Narunga. Hello, my name is Aunty Michelle and I'm a strong Boandik woman. I'm an elder in the community. I was born in Mount Gambier, Berrin, and currently live at Narunga, Port Macdonald. I am an Aboriginal contemporary artist.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Pudney and I am a Mount Gambier-based ceramic and textile artist. I work in and around the limestone coast. My passion is for basketry techniques, which I sometimes combine with my ceramic creations.
I decided to weave an eel trap, and after looking into the history and doing some research on eels, I decided that this was a bigger project than just the eel trap. I contacted Chrissy Pudney and I thought together we could work on some Indigenous eel traps using some of the traditional methods and also using Chrissy's skills making eel traps from materials that she collects on the beach, recycled material, plastics, etc. The eels found in our region, and those the Boandik people would certainly have caught and eaten, are the short-finned eels. These start and end their lives in the Coral Sea off northeast Australia. Freshwater eels start as eggs, develop into glass eels, then elvers, and finally into mature eels. They only commence their spawning migration at maturity. The age at which eels mature and migrate vary considerably. Males 8 to 12 years and 10 to 30 years for females, depending on the habitat, the food availability and the water in the area. It appears there is a continual cycle in progress. Boandik people would therefore have had an almost continual supply of eels for eating. Traditionally, Boandik land was an extensive network of wetlands, lagoons, creeks, ponds and marshy land. The Boandik hunted, fished, trapped and gathered from the land foods, medicine and the rushes for weaving. Our wetlands today are changed. The rushes, once prolific, are now sparse. One of the initial goals of the project was to end up with a selection of eel traps made from various materials, including natural fibres and recycled materials. We then decided that it would be appropriate to also make dilly bags, which were used to carry the captured eels back to camp. Working together with Chrissy has demonstrated reconciliation. Myself as a Boandik weaver and Chrissy as a non-Indigenous artist. Unfortunately, most of the local knowledge about eel trapping and the making of eel traps was lost as a result of colonisation, and the local community was unable to provide much information. Consequently, Chrissy and I researched weaving techniques and how the eel traps were used from old sources in adjacent communities, museums and on the internet. We discussed traditional materials and we went out gathering materials on country. Based on all this information, we've made eel traps that represent traditional and contemporary weaving. The woven bags made were important too, as these were used by the Boandik for carrying knives and tools needed to kill the eels. The freshwater rushes are very strong and ideally suited for weaving. Rushes were, as they are now, picked green, dried and stored. When needed for weaving, they're soaked in water to become pliable.
Aunty Michelle and I have collected natural materials from around Mount Gambier and in my own garden to weave this exhibition of eel traps and vessels. Sometimes these days it can be difficult to source a good supply of traditional weaving rushes and grasses, so we have adapted to the availability of natural materials and recycled materials. Harvested materials that we have collected for this project are Lomandra longifolia, ivy, flax, dune grasses, Watsonia leaves, wisteria and coastal spinifex. We have carefully chosen all the best materials to do this work. Each piece has been hung and dried prior to weaving, and all the materials were soaked to varying degrees to give them flexibility without shrinkage. I particularly love working with repurposed materials which I gather from local beaches, farms and reuse market. For this collection, I have gathered a lot of flotsam in the form of many pieces of beach ropes. Local farmers carefully discard their baling twine, and this is perfect for joining the pieces together to form shape. All these materials are thoroughly cleaned before I begin work on my pieces. It has been a pleasure and a lot of fun to work on this project with Aunty Michelle.
The project has resulted in resources that demonstrates the importance of weaving and the skills that were needed to harvest this important food source for the Boandik people.